Time to put Captain Solo in the cargo hold because this guy's apparently getting his own movie. Hollywood Reporter last week broke the news. It's not officially confirmed yet by Lucasfilm Disney that apparently Boba Fett is the next one on the slate to get his own solo a Star Wars story already out. He's the next on the slate to get his own standalone film. According to the Hollywood Reporter who broke the news, James Mangold, who directed Logan and the Wolverine, is set to direct and co-write the Boba Fett movie with Simon Kinberg as the writer and producer. Now, Simon Kinberg worked on X-Men Last Stand, Days of Future Past, X-Men Apocalypse, X-Men Dark Phoenix, which is coming early next year, and he created Star Wars Rebels, and he produced the X-Men films, First Class, Days of Future Past, the Deadpool movies, X-Men Apocalypse, Phoenix, as well as producing Rebels and The Martian. Now, there's loads of places they can go with a standalone Boba Fett movie. I mean, you've got early Boba Fett after Attack of the Clones. Apparently, he was featured in, I think it's either Rebels or the Clone Wars with Daniel Logan voicing him. Daniel Logan played Boba Fett in Attack of the Clones, Episode 2. And, you've got that period between, like I said, Episode 2 and Episode 4. Which is the period episode between episode 3 and episode 4 is the period where you got where you've got Rogue One and Solo, which would be the natural place to put Boba Fett. But you've also got after Return of the Jedi, which is also make a great place to start with Boba Fett escaping from the Sarlacc pit. That would be a great place because you could be filling in gaps to characters and have characters that would come to feature in episode 7 onwards. So there's a good scope as to where you could take the character of Boba Fett. And he is so cool. Ever since he made his debut in the awful Star Wars Holiday Special, he was the cool part. The animated sequence was regarded as the standout in what is regarded as terrible. And his small appearance in Empire Strikes Back brought the myth. It's the costume that made Boba Fett who he is. I mean, it's such an iconic suit. He oozes cool. I mean, of course, in Empire and Jedi, he was played by Jeremy Bulloch, and he played, even though he doesn't do much, he's still fantastic. Boba Fett is cool. He is, and that's the reasoning why he's gained this mystique. Even though we see him as a kid, and we learn his backstory in Star Wars Episode 2: Attack of the Clones, he still oozes cool. I mean, Jango Fett, his father, with the original silver and blue armor is cool. I mean, I'm hoping, that they bring in either Tamura Morrison, who played Jango, if they're using the older incarnation. He'd be a great, great Boba Fett, because as you know, if you know anything about Star Wars, Boba Fett is an unaltered clone of Jango. Boba is, so to have. It would be logical for an older post Return of the Jedi, if they go that angle, to have Tamura play him, if it's before A New Hope. I mean, the logical one would be Daniel Logan, who has the hashtag. He uses the hashtag make Daniel Logan Boba Fett again. I mean, Daniel Logan would be cool to actually keep the continuity, to have Daniel Logan as Boba Fett. I would love to see it. In the movies, how about you've got Tamura Morrison, you've got Daniel Logan, and you've got Jeremy Bulloch. All could have the possibility of playing characters in the Boba Fett movie if they don't actually play Boba Fett himself. It would be great to see the three that are most known for the role playing Boba, if not playing Boba Fett, having a part in the Boba Fett movie, because they've all done the Star Wars conventions, and pretty good with Lucasfilm, and Daniel Logan, has his own Boba Fett suit and does appearances with it. So it would be good to actually see him donning the official uniform and being Boba Fett again. It would be, So the one thing I would love to see, just like they did with the Judge Dredd movie, keep the helmet, the bucket, whatever you want to call it, keep it on his head. Keep the mystique about what he looks like underneath it. Bring it back so that we don't actually see Boba Fett without the helmet, or if we do see him without the helmet, keep him in the shadows. Make Boba Fett cool like he was in Empire and Jedi before we knew who he was underneath it. You know, a character that can actually generate so much interest that's hardly even in Empire and Jedi is fantastic. And you can bring the mystique back, give him an incredible story. I mean, if it's true that James Mangold and Simon Kinberg are attached to it and are, directing, producing, writing, then they've got all opportunity, because Logan was and is a fantastic film. So it'd be great to see. I mean, if they get free reign to do what they like with the character, it can't go wrong. Well, I'm hoping it can't go wrong. So that's it. That's my opinion on the Rumoured Boba Fett movie. See you again in another In the Geek Room.